2018 GSL versus the world.
Break it down. We're back at the GSL versus the world. And it's tied up 2-2. What the hell is going on? It looked like Stats was killing it to start things off. And then the comeback began. But can Serral keep it going, or is Stats going to make the right adjustments?
I think Serral has a lot of momentum now. The first two games, of course, it stings to lose two games that quickly, but those were weird, unique games. That doesn't happen multiple times in the best of 7. The last two games were much more dragged out. They were macro-oriented games, and winning those feels so much better, especially because we still have a few more big maps to go. I mean, I think Serral's displaying some brilliant stuff. Like, I think on Acid Plant, on powering the Stargate, going into the Mudas, I think that is super smart. I love how he activated all the barriers on the Immortals right before the Roaches came in with his Mudas. And that last game, guys, when that Roach Zealot battle happened in like Serral's natural, I was like, you can't hold this. Like, no, at one point this is gonna snowball. Zerg is supposed to crumble here, but damn, what a game. Like, these last two games were amazing, and I really feel that all the momentum is with Serral now.
Yeah, I mean, those last two games were so sick. Game 1 and 2 were garbage compared to Taste Test effect. You guys see the test, and then it gets good.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? Yeah, those first two games were rushy. They were very quick. And the last two were macro, so I'm sure a lot of people looking at it saying, you know what? He's got the edge in the macro games. But in the last game, Kevin, he was confused. Sats was confused. If he knew that was Broodlords on the way and not Mutas, he might win that game for sure.
The next map is really going to be key, though. 16-bit, a great Protoss map. Let's see if Stats can turn it around.
All right, our game is now loading up. Tied up 2-2 in this best of 7. Stats versus Serral. Stats representing Korea. Serral fighting for the world. Let's go.
Fight!
Either you rise or you fall. No king, no law. Nothing holy at all. None will be drawn. I give my life to the cause. No king, no law. Nothing holy at all. Either you rise or you fall.
Ready? Fight!
In the upper right, in the red, our Korean Protoss player. He is
Splice! Stats!
in the bottom left, in the blue, our Zerg player from Finland. He is
ENCE Esports, Serral.
Such an important map here. Whoever wins is on match point for the rest of the evening. That is a big deal. A lot of pressure on your opponent at that point. You know, 16-bit. It's a very special map because you have that free base in the back of your main.
That's right. That does reward macro players. There are different ways to exploit that depending on what builds the players open up with. We'll unpack that if that is something that becomes of significance in this game. But kind of weird to see that the games that Stats won were either with cannon rushes or pressure. I mean, this is Stats, the guy that normally you think of as the most orthodox of all the Protosses. He just defends, he gets the right tech, he has the right number of bases, he keeps his opponent under control, and he eventually wins. The wins here by Serral are actually the late game ones. The ones where he has a complete tech tree, where he has all the tools he needs to really take on a really complex game of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, and while all that's true, I'm not really doubting Stats yet in the late game. Yeah, he lost a couple longer games, but I think it's almost more impressive that he's showing that he has the speed to do something like a cannon rush, or the micro to keep 3 Archons at 0 shields alive for an entire rush against Hydraling. You know, it's really impressive, and those are not the things that you normally think about when you think about Stats. But he's showing why he's in the finals here. Why he is like he's always at the top of WCS Korea standings. He's a multiple tournament champion. He's been in the finals and top 4 of almost every tournament for a long time now.
That's right. This iteration of StarCraft 2 really gels with him. So it was very impressive to see him do that. I am actually most worried for Serral if there's another pressure play here from Stats, because he's actually brought some of the best micro we've ever seen in a PvZ. I mean, the War Prism abuse gets pretty crazy with him. The thing that makes Serral so good at holding it, though, like we saw in the previous game, is that he never really lets the drones get killed. He'll even actually throw the drones out to tank one hit from an Archon and then run back away.
It's funny,
controlling it perfectly just so that like roaches and hydras can get more shots off.
Well, this is all certainly true. The one thing I do want to mention, though, like, I don't think we're going to see anything very aggressive. Like, sure, some harassment, but even the charge with Archon attack that we saw before, I don't think we'll see that even, because on this map, there's one entrance to get to 3 bases, right? So it's not like you can kind of plant yourself in front of the natural and hit 2 locations, and then you can fly your Warp Prism to the main if you want, right? It's not like that. It's like, well, you got to do either everything through Warp Prism or everything up the front ramp, and it just makes moves like that so much weaker, so much harder to pull off.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You have to approach the geography of the map first if you're going to do any kind of pressure or harass. And this is a map that's shaped quite differently. So the Phoenix is coming out now. Again, we have Robo and Twilight Tech. This seems to be, whether you proxy a Stargate or not, this seems to be the theme for stats and PvZ, is to open up with this style of play. It's not too aggressive and it's not too greedy. It's very down the middle, although we've seen him make it work before. Now, of course, going through a best of 7, each game you play, you're learning a little bit about how your opponent plays. And you can always make these micro adjustments or huge adjustments just in build order in general to try to play around that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how, if we see more and more of these games here from stats, how does Serral continue to react?
Well, this game, both players are really playing quite differently. So for Serral, his third base is not the back third base. Look at this. The Oracle comes in. He's checking out. It's like, where is your other base? It's actually to the north. So he's taking a base that's not so safe. But Stats is not doing anything too aggressive as of yet. He got the Robo and the Twilight, but instead of going right into Archon drops, he's making an Immortal. He's getting a Forge. He's going Templar Archives. It seems like he's building up to a later game here.
Yeah, it almost looks like Stats was trying to telegraph out to Serral a pressure build when actually he just went right into the Immortal. And he's just roamed on out and is taking a third base. But what's funny is Serral actually was quite bold, as you were saying, Artosis. He's not taking that free base that he could have taken early on. Now, why is that important? Because that means Serral can take a 4th base for free later on.
Yeah. There's always that free base, and the later you take it, if you haven't been punished for that, that's more dangerous for your opponent. So this has been very interesting, the way that both of these guys have gone. It's like Stats is playing actually very safe against any sort of roach play. Like, for instance, these roaches moving out, won't do a single thing. Nothing at all. There's already a couple Immortals. There's about to be a Prism. There's an Archon. There's, an Oracle. Stats can't be hurt at the moment. But Serral is setting himself up for an explosive 4-base economy.
That's right. We see Serral's continuing to drone up. He's at 63 right now, and there should be some more room for him to eke out workers. We've seen him go over 80 workers in several of his games down here, really powering up and then hammering his opponent later on. So the Oracle's coming out here, and Stats is going to see, is there an opening? What is the unit composition looking like? Is there any tech I can spot? And you can see that Serral is basically trying to open up the map and start to get that creep highway out here. Meanwhile, the Warp Prism is headed through the middle. Well, we're waiting to see if there is going to be any Archons made for any kind of pressure. I don't know.
He made Archons and lifted up for a little bit, but he let him back out at home, and he's making a second Robo, Psystorm. So yeah, Stats is really gearing up for the ultimate Protoss army, and he's got 1 Prism out on the map, so that's just like a light counter-harassment Warp Prism. We'll see if he gets anything done with it.
A little bit of a nuisance here as these Adepts are going to get in here and kill off just a few workers. Now, as this game continues, it seems as though Stats actually wants to set up, I guess what you'd call a pin. He wants to have the ability to slow drip Zealots into the back of the Zerg's base if the Zerg ever tries to leave. But if the Zerg doesn't do anything dramatic, then what he's going to do is actually just stay back and be conservative with the Warp Prism.
Now, this is Serral's next move, right? He's got his Roaches, he's got his Hydras, his economy's looking very strong. He's made a bunch of drop Overlords. Zergs just absolutely love this type of play right now. You start putting on pressure everywhere, especially as the Protoss is getting ready to take a 4th base, and you're threatening these drops that can do so much damage. Now, will Stats see this incoming? Because you have to be ready for it.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of different ways that you can try to execute this. What you want to do is try to get the Protoss army out of position. they can do things like recall, but overall Immortals and Archons are not actually that fast. So once you get them on the wrong footing, that could be the moment when you try to exploit that. So the Oracle, I think this was the wise decision to tag that, so you could try to keep tabs on it.
That is a big tag right there, and he's got units in position. Serral's going to have to turn around. You absolutely cannot drop right there. So now that Stats knows that this is in play, he has to watch for it for the rest of the game. He has to be on top of it. The rest of Serral's army walking around this side. That's a lot of Immortals and Psystorm to try to chunk through.
Okay, he's coming forward now. The first Archon goes down. And you can see Serral's going to try to tear down the rocks here to get a bit more of an opening. The Immortals are coming out, but as the Protoss tries to push out, you can see that Serral actually arcs out so well that it's not a desirable position here for the Protoss to try to engage, and now he can edge in over here. Look, and he can start firing down onto the workers, and that's going to force Stats to try to respond himself.
Oh my gosh, some good Psystorms going down. Serral trying to get that damage done. Pushing in. Oh, the Psystorms from Stats are real. He has a lot of Immortals firing right now as well. Oh my god, though. Serral starting to push forward. The Immortals having to be microed back.
You can see now the Archon is taken out. There's one more Archon remaining, but overall, Serral does not quite have enough. Hydralisks are never really that good at retreating, and now these Overlords are going to be taken out.
That's really good if he can kill some of those Drop Lords. The Immortals continuing to punish any units left behind. I would say that was a great defense.
It really was. I'm a little bit surprised Stats didn't use the War Prism at all there to try to send some Zealots in, but it seems like he was quite preoccupied with trying to handle that engagement perfectly.
Yeah, now that he's even damaged those Drop Lords, he doesn't have to worry quite as much about drops. There probably will be more drops this game, though, so he can't completely let up on his defense for them.
You can see Stats has chased that all the way away, but he doesn't want to overextend here and get caught out in the middle of the map. The unit complexity here from Stats is pretty good. I mean, he's got enough Zealots to soak in the front. He's got Archons, he's got Immortals, and he's got the Templars. So I think Stats, this is the next logical step, is to try to expand out here and hold this while making sure you're still safe from any other drops or harass.
And look at the Immortal count, Tasis. When you start to hit around 10 Immortals, which is right around where Stats is at, ground units from Zerg no longer matter, okay?
Yeah.
This is where the Protoss army really finds its strength. So he's going to be able to move out pretty soon, but this is Serral slowing him down. He's hitting in multiple locations. He's dropping in the back of the third. He's attacking the fourth. Here comes another army.
Oh! We got a flank here. Oh, and he actually takes out 3 Immortals almost immediately and then dodges that storm. And you can see Serral then pulls back. Supplies right now are neck and neck, as both players are taking a 4th base.
Extremely nice moves.
Let's not forget, there is still this free base that Serral has not taken, and it's kind of awkward because this doesn't really help Stats since this was never taken, so therefore Stats can't harass it.
Yeah.
But eventually he's going to be able to take that. So even if things get tense in the middle, there should be an out here for Serral.
Yeah, that's very true. And that just means that his economy is super safe for a very long time. He's also adding a Spire, so we might see him switch into Mutas at some point, which again, you can do things like set up these shields, pick off those High Templars. There's very little anti-air for Stats. There's a few Stalkers in the main that don't have Blink, 1 Archon with the main army. So this could get him once again.
You can see Serral is very much aware of the threat of that War Prism. Now, there are 13 Mutas on the way, Artosis.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be unlucky. Adds 1 more Muta into that 14 Mutas
That's right.
now. Okay. And this could be devastating. Now, Stats is adding a 2nd Stargate and a Fleet Beacon. This is him kind of blindly preparing for possible Broodlords, but this time it's Mutas.
I know, Serral has been so good at swapping this late game tech each game. And we'll see if Stats is going to get surprised by this, because the Mutas are now out. They're headed northbound, and they're going to be right in the middle of the map. And there's only 1 Archon here, so you can initiate here with these Mutas.
All right, I think he just saw the Mutas. This is really important right now that he does not lose his High Templars. Here we go.
Whoa.
He comes in, trying to target them down. Some very good Psystorms, but definitely lost at least a High Templar or 2 there, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, the Storms were actually quite good, and that means that Serral is going to have to back up and respect his opponent. Instead, Serral decides to come in here and just try to hit some workers, get some free kills. The Archon comes down.
Ooh.
He's got to be careful. Oh, my God.
He even loads up a High Templar there. Very well done. Okay, pushing back some of these overlords right now, taking some control of the map. He's got a lot of immortals. A lot of money was just spent on those mutas, so he knows there's no hive tech right now. This might be his moment to really punish Serral.
Okay, he's coming in now. We have mutas hitting from all different sides. Storm's going down. Serral trying to dodge them. A 360-degree attack here by the Zerg.
Oh, he forces a recall from Stats. Almost the entire army falls, but Stats does retreat with some of them. Serral's macro just out of control.
And look at this, it's now 135 supply to 183. Air dominance here by Serral, and he's gonna keep Stats matted down in his base.
Oh my gosh, that is a ton of mutas, 20 plus mutas, but the Prism comes in, he's got the Archon, he's got the Storm. He has 2 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon, so maybe he can get Phoenixes in Phoenix range. That would be a great counter to these mutas.
Okay, good control here so far. Stats is not allowed really to move out on the map until he can answer the mutas. I mean, when muta numbers get this high, they will just hit you wherever you're not. And so this keeps Stats on the defense here. Look at this, even gonna take out the Warp Prism.
Oh, he's gonna try, but Mr. Shield Battery has something to say about that. The muta's still flying around though, finding probe kills. Phoenix is coming down. Serral kind of boxed himself in a way. This was a strong move to make all these mutas, a decisive move. But with 2 Stargates out, with Phoenix range on the way, these might not pay off.
Okay, it's kind of a game of cat and mouse here. So you want to try to dive at the Phoenixes as they come at you. And the Protoss wants to be ready to react, but we've already seen Serral switch into a lot of Hydras now. And with the Lurker tech coming up here, I mean, this is a whole nother level that, you know, really Stats is going to have to be ready for as this next attack comes in.
Oh, a very strong attack going after that Archon. He picks up really quickly. The rest of the army coming over, and Serral does have to back up for now. And now Phoenix range is done. He's chasing down the mutas, and he will kill every single muta.
You can see Serral's very, very patient. He knows when to attack in, but Stats knows when he can actually chase his opponent out. And there's a lot of losses being suffered here by Serral. I wonder if that was an overextension.
Oh man, it certainly was tasteless. He has punished him so strongly, but this entire time, Serral is over 70 drones. He's got a ton of bases, great creep spread. When's the last time that Stats did damage to Serral other than picking off units he was being attacked with?
Yeah, that's a good point, Artosis. Most of this game has gone on Stats' side of the map. There's still plenty of room here for Serral to try to expand. But these Phoenixes are now a new problem. It's almost as if it's Stats' turn to try to have some air dominance and do some damage. But this Lurker push that's coming up, this is going to be a totally different problem, especially if Serral can find the right angle to push into.
Yeah, the Lurkers are really, really strong. You've got to be very careful about engaging those. They can just shred your army in seconds. But he's still got some Immortals out. He's got his Psy Storm, and of course the Mothership is super helpful. Looks like he's flying around with these Phoenixes. Some of them will get picked off, but he sees the main composition of the army, which is very important.
Yeah, he sees those Lurkers there now. Great catch here by Serral. Takes out that Warp Prism. And I'm just waiting to see where exactly is Serral going to push. He's maxed out. Stats is still trying to grow. And it seems like there's some vulnerability over there at that center right location. But
yeah, I think you're right about that.
Actually, I'm sorry, he's going to set up an attack
location
in 2 spots. So he's going to see which one is lighter and hit. And as the other army comes down there to try to protect it, he's going to attack in. So that's the decoy attack. Here's the real one coming up. He's going to push in here, and there's really not that much to defend.
He's going to get that Nexus and all the buildings, so that's actually a lot of money gone for Stats. He needs another base badly, but Stats flies in, picks up these Lurkers, and is really punishing the more expensive army.
It's actually kind of crazy because he got the Nexus, but was it worth losing that many units? Meanwhile, Serral's going to try to push forward here. Again, he wants to be careful. He already overextended in this spot on the map earlier. Oh, look at this. This is so cute. There's one Lurker going to sneak over here.
Yeah, he wants to get a bunch of probes. Unfortunately for him, not that many probes down here.
Well,
oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. No detection.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. 7 probes?
That's so funny. We don't normally see little concepts like that used in super late games where it's all about trying to control the map.
So this is a really interesting game, the way this is going down. Stats is being really cost efficient in fights. His economy is almost based off of killing Serral's units effectively, but Serral's got so much more economy, and he's denying 5th bases from Stats over and over. So, you know, see, once again, look, 5 mutas flying, that's 500 minerals, 500 gas, gone. What'd they do, kill 2 probes? Okay, whatever. But Stats right now, like, he doesn't have enough bases to get enough money to fully make, you know, this giant death ball to go out on the map and kill Serral with.
When you're this late in the game, you basically wouldn't attack unless you were maxed out, or you guys both hit each other so hard you're floating at around 100 supply, and so it's still kind of an even game. And you're right, Serral keeps sandbagging the progress here of Stats, and here we have another attack coming up.
Oh, big Psy Storms go out right there. A lot of lurkers burrowing back there at the fourth base. The fourth base taking a ton of damage right now. He is clearing up the bottom part of the army, but what about that top part attacking his Nexus?
The Nexus is getting lower. These lurkers are edging in behind the minerals. The Hydras are rotating up here.
Ooh, a lot of Side Storms going down once again, but those Lurker Spines are doing a lot of damage to these Archons. Finally, Stats tries to bust through, and the Hydras have to turn around and run. He saves his Nexus.
Yeah, that was very nicely done there by Stats. He held that off pretty easily. It's going to be a good minute before Serral can actually try to remake his army. We see that Nexus, by the way, has been remade there in the center right. There are no probes transferred to it yet. I do want to point out it's actually 46 probes to 75 drones. And by the way, here's the big counterattack here from Stats. Let's see if he can make this work. He's bringing pretty much everything.
Okay, he finally feels like it is time to move out. He has that fifth base up. If he can mine from it while putting pressure on Serral, that's going to be huge. Here Serral comes. He's actually picking off part of the army here, but some Side Storm comes up and saves it.
Meanwhile, the mothership is pushing through here at the top. Serral needs to defend both of these locations. This is going to be very difficult decision-making. And it looks like now Serral is going to try to fend off this attack here at the bottom. The Archon is getting low enough. As long as he can stay out of Psy Storms, and these storms right now are hitting pretty well.
I can't believe Stats is attacking two different locations like this. He looks like Serral looked for the early parts of the game, but he is using super high-tech units right now to do it.
By the way, we're in our longest game so far. It's at 20 minutes. And you can see Serral, Stats is roaming. He's been on creep this whole time. So definitely uncomfortable, but it's also keeping Serral very honest.
Yeah, it really is. Serral has to just stay on these lower tech units. He's trying to fight as best he can, trying to push through. The Phoenixes come over, and once again, our heroes clearing that all out. But the rest of the army coming up, it looks like he's going to do a recall, perhaps?
Yeah, he's going to recall some of that, but not everything. And the mothership goes down, uncloaking the rest of these units. I don't think there's enough Hydras here, Artosis.
Well, I don't know about that. It looks like a couple lurkers on the low ground there, though. And they do re-burrow, killing off a few of these Zealots. Stats trying to move forward still.
You can now see that we're at a point in time where Stats is actually in the middle of where the rally points are, so it's trickier here for Serral to assemble an army and try to fight this. Serral has to win this fight over here, or he could lose this game.
Oh man, these Archons are starting to get very low. The Phoenixes are flying in. Another set of Zealots rushing up as well. Can he actually break through? Serral microing his heart out.
He's trying to back up. He has now pressure on the hatchery over here. The Zealots are continuing to chase him away. Serral needs to hold this attack off or he will lose this game for sure.
Ooh.
He needs to save this hatchery.
Oh my gosh, that hatchery looks like it will be picked off. The Hydras turn around once again. The Phoenixes lifting some of them up. Another rally of Zealots come in. Serral push the edge. GG! Stats wins in game number 5.
That was crazy. Stats was holding Serral off for so long. He was so patient as he moved across the map, looking for the right position to come into and do that damage. And you could just see that Serral was so smart, so elegant in how he was moving around, but eventually he ran out of options, and it was Stats' turn to initiate.
I can't even believe that game. That game was insane, and that shows you just how strong they both are in the late game. Yeah, we saw Serral win a couple, but this game was back and forth. It could have gone either way. Great defense by Stats. Serral just keeping the pressure on. Just an unreal display of skill from these two champions.
It was insane, and the fact that we had Stats actually holding on for that long. He took some serious blows over and over and over. He never got to use that warp prism that was hidden there on the map.
That's true. He never did.
It never amounted to anything. And even though most of that game, like 80% of that game, was really focused on Stats and his bases, yeah, he eventually had the right unit composition. He could push across, do that damage, and he ended up closing it out. And that means Stats has the lead in this best of 7.
Yeah, he is on match point for the rest of the evening. But of course, it can only be 2 more games left maximum. Our next will be on Lost and Found. So this is where we really need Serral to bring it back if we're going to see that game number 7. And, I mean, that would be, of course, a dream amongst dreams to see Game 7 stats for Serral's, the finals of GSL versus the World.
We never get to Game 7s almost ever.
It's rare.
In a GSL. Statistically, it's very, very rare. So that would be something incredibly special if we could get to that. Stats has requested a quick break. We do allow the players to take a very short break if they need it. I wonder what the game plan is here for Serral, because Stats has now proven that he actually can have solid late game against even Serral.
Well, Serral, he had so many bases this game, and he really committed so heavily into his layer tech, right? Roaches and Hydras everywhere, trying to get drops off, trying to keep this pressure on. But Stats played a very safe game, and I mean, eventually he was cost efficient enough. Now, does Serral choose to go further up the tech tree possibly this time? Or will he stay with this very tactical Zerg that we saw in the previous game?
I don't know. Definitely Stats breathing a sigh of relief. The pressure is on here for Serral. So hard to ever get to a GSL Finals. If he can win this game and the next, he will change the way we view StarCraft forever. As a non-Korean, will finally become triumphant in the GSL. But it's not going to be easy. If Stats wins anything from here on out, he is the champion.
That's right. Again, lost and found our next map. If we need it, map 7 will be Dreamcatcher. It's anyone's series at this point. Let's see if Serral has what it takes to bring us all the way.
So, can Serral do it? Stats has survived in the late game. Serral needs to rush. We have no idea what Stats can do. He can play the full range of anything Protoss. Do tell your friends to join us here, as we have maybe one more game, maybe 2 more games left before we close out the GSL versus the World. Our game's now loaded up. This is Stats versus Serral.
The time is
Ready? Fight.
In the upper right, in the red, our Protoss player representing Korea. He is
Splice. Stats.
The ultimate Protoss, the shield of ire.
his opponent in the bottom left, in the blue, representing Finland and the rest of the non-Korean scene. He is
Ents Esports. Serral.
Stats may be the shield of GSL today, but Serral, the tip of the spear from the non-Korean players on the WCS circuit. Their champion for the last 3 events in a row, the undisputed #1.
He managed to take out Dark. He managed to take out Innovation. Terran and Zerg out of the way, but now he's against the best Protoss Korea has to offer.
It's quite a fitting finals when you think about it, Tasteless. A lot of talk about Maru, of course. He's won the last couple GSLs. One of them, of course, over Stats. A multiple tournament champion, always up there at the top, respected by all, and really showing why. Such a range of games so far. Pressures, defenses, macro, micro, even a cannon rush.
I know, that cannon rush was something else, really tilting Serral back there. So let's wait and see what happens now in game number, what are we on, 6 now? Because we've seen Stargate play before here from Stats. You have to think Serral's getting better and better at adapting to this, but I can't really blame Stats for continuing to do this. It's standard. He's made it work before. It seems like each time he does it, he gets it a little bit, he gets it off a little bit more cleanly.
Well, I kind of liked how he did it on 16-bit, right? He played such a careful series with the Stargate, with the opener, right? Because it looked like the standard, oh, I'm going into an Archon drop, but he's like, no, I'm going to make Immortals and slowly an Archon, get a Forge, you know, just kind of go for a very safe game. And Serral was never able to find critical damage due to that.
Yeah, he played a really interesting passive game after we had some pretty crazy pressure builds from Stats earlier on. You can see the Queen now chasing that last Adept out. It's going to be Phoenix first, although we can absolutely have an Oracle after that.
Yeah, generally do. Try to get a little bit of harassment. It can help you to take your third base, defend against rushes. I mean, the Oracle does almost everything.
So here comes that Phoenix now. Now you want to get that out first because, at least with a build like this, you want to erase Overlords on the map. You want to darken the map for the Zerg, so the Zerg has to do a lot more heavy lifting to get scouting done and see what's happening. And that Overlord is now going to be taken out. The Phoenix is going to continue to look around the map for anything else stray that it can kill off.
Yeah.
Behind that, we're going to have Stats get a Robo Bay, as Serral is now getting his Evo Chamber.
That was a cool scout as well. The way he kept on moving the Overlord up and then back down, he was trying to check if there was going to be the Robo in the wall. Stats likes to do that quite a bit, and he does confirm a Robo on the way. But what type of Robo? Normally you look at this and just say, yes, of course, this is an Archon drop. But he can do other builds with this like we saw in that previous game that could throw him off a bit. Oh my gosh. Now Serral's getting +1 melee. So this is the type of build where you're trying to keep pressure on with Lings, maybe force a cancel at that third base. If Stats goes for Archon drop though, that will put him at an advantage.
That's a really good point. Even if you can deny the third base, if the Archons are the direct counter to Zerglings anyways, do you really worry about it that much? And then that Archon harass can do a lot more.
Yeah. And it is an Archon drop is what he's going for. This is not that same Immortal game into third base that we saw from 16-bit. So Serral might be mind gaming himself a bit. He's saying, oh yeah, you're just going to do that build against me where I can't hurt you with Roaches? Well, I won't go Roaches. Well, you're going to wish you went Roaches when 2 Archons are dropped off in your main.
That's right. Here comes the third base. The Adepts we wedged in between the pylons so the Lings can't have as much surface area. But yeah, having that upgrade for that attack, you could definitely try to hit that base if the Archons aren't there, but the real threat, though, is that Archons tear through Zerglings.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get to the workers really, really quickly. And, you know, Stats going for a pretty straightforward opening, and I think in some ways Serral trying to be fancy. He could be in hot water as this Archon drop is about to start.
Yeah, yeah. So Serral's taking a little bit of a risk here. There go the Speedlings. You never know, though. Something crazy could occur here, like the Speedlings might be able to get in the main base. Maybe he catches this Warp Prism. That would be a big moment.
There's an Oracle over here as well, though. Oracle can gun down Zerglings really, really fast, and you see why you put the pylons in a position like that. Okay, he gets the Queen.
Okay, Serral cannot be happy with this right now. He's going for a Hydralisk Den immediately. Getting a lot more Zerglings as well as +1 melee is going to finish up very shortly here.
You know what's funny about this is Stats is being so conservative with that Warp Prism. Here comes another attack over here. And I think there could have been a lot more damage done with the drop, but I guess it's ultimately up to him. I think knowing that he has a 1-0 lead, maybe he wants to just play a conservative game here. But the Hydralisk Den is eventually going to be finished.
Yeah, I really want to see him lean a little bit more on these Archons.
Yeah, okay, here we go. He's going to try to come out here now, but even then, the Queens come out and chase that away as Serral's taking his 4th base.
Well, he's still going to be able to clean up some creep tumors and whatnot. Look at Serral. He's really trying to make these Lings do something for him right now. He has that +1 melee all finished. He's running around trying to find some way in, but Stats is sealed up tight at the moment.
So, Stats staying on the edge here. He wants to get rid of creep. There's going to be a push later on here, and if you can keep that creep reduced, that could sometimes be enough for you to get that position where you can actually start taking these bases down. Now, Stats is getting Psionic Storm here, Zealot legs, and his army sophistication is really growing in size. Let's see when he wants to push, though. I mean, he has pretty much, besides Templars with Storm, all the tools he needs to start attacking here.
Yeah, he is everything looking really, really good at the moment. But if there's enough Hydras, those can gun down Archons very, very, very quickly. And if there are no Archons there to help with the Lings, the Zealots are going to get a little bit stuck. So, you know, maybe he can hold on here, especially with those Banelings on the way.
Okay, he's coming in here. He can use the hatchery as a little bit of a wall there. The Queen's coming down, and Stats says, maybe I should fight off of creep over here. And with the Queens out like this, I mean, Serral has very excellently held this off. And even the possibility of a drop into the main has been denied with those Hydras down there.
Yeah, this was really a good back and forth that we just saw. And now the game is going to kind of normalize a little bit. Looks like Stats is a bit nervous.
Ooh, he's control.
Yeah, he's adding a lot of defense there to his third base. So he realizes that right now, he doesn't have that much size storm. He doesn't have any sentries or anything like that. So something like speed banelings with Hydras could threaten his third base. So he's just kind of, you know, adding that little bit of defense, has a lot of High Templars over there, and now taking his fourth.
Okay, well with Serral having the defense necessary over on his side of the map, he's going to keep pushing creep. He's going to take a 5th base down here. And, you know, in some ways, Stats having some of the best defense. Serral really did try to do something with those lings, but overall, as much of the crazy attempts that have been made here, it's actually looking like a fairly ordinary game.
Yeah, it's kind of come to a spot where you could just pick up the... Oh, that's a big pickoff. But you could just start the VOD right here and be like, oh yeah, everything looks fine. You know, this is pretty normal. But it was kind of an interesting opener. Now, one thing to mention, he's about to finish Overlord speed. He has +2 on Banelings already. Baneling drops into mineral lines are incredibly powerful now.
Hey, hold up. Oh, these probes are on the transfer. He takes out 6. He's going to try to break in here to the natural. A sentry goes down. A great attack there by Serral, and he's not finished, Artosis. We've got a lot more Banelings on the way.
That is a lot of Banelings, a lot of Hydra and Ling as well, but look at that defense. Psystorm everywhere, cannons, shield batteries, Archons, you name it, Stats has it.
Okay, he's going to try to do a multi-pronged attack up here. We have some Banelings up in the north crashing in. No probes to easily get access to. And meanwhile, oh my god, this is so much. He's about to be maxed out. He's going to try to tear down the rocks and flood this location here in the center right.
Oh, he gets through those rocks pretty quickly. Some good Psystorm. Stats is eating through a lot of these Lings, but the Hydra Bane coming in now. He needs Psystorm to deal with this, or this base will fall.
He's coming forward now. These Banelings connected. Several more probes going down. You can see Serral is going to get closer and closer, but at the last second he says it's not enough. He's going to back up, rinse and repeat. We got 44 more Lings and plenty more Banelings as he's going to try to attack into that location.
Serral on 77 workers and 4 mining bases has the economy to just hit non-stop with Ling Bane Hydra, and it looks like that's what he wants to do for now.
We see more Warpins here. Stats knows it's coming. He needs to brace for impact. He needs to control everything perfectly if he's going to survive this, as Serral's damage output is going to be insane.
Even some lurkers being added in. A mothership on the way. We'll see if he can make it to that. More Banelings rolling in. It looks like they do not hit those High Templars. The lurkers come up as well, and the High Templars are out of Psystorm.
You can see he's actually coming in here and hitting at this side. This Nexus is very vulnerable. We have a few more Warpins, but meanwhile these Banelings are coming in. These probes, they need to get away. He cannot afford to lose them, and so many. 23 go down.
Just so many probes have fallen this game already. He is low on workers. 25 probes remain. He's barely mining from these bases. Lurkers come up. This base under siege by Serral.
And if he loses this Nexus, I can't, no, that's gonna be it! GG!
Oh, we're going to Game 7!
What a time to be alive! Serral has brought us to the 7th game in the GSL versus the World Finals. Stats dominated in the previous game, showing excellent late game. But Serral showed he can do an insane series of timing attacks and dismantle the best defensive Protoss player in the world.
And his defense was on point as well, but Serral got his macro machine up and running. It's so difficult to stop a player with that many +2 Banelings everywhere. This is it though, Tasteless. GSL versus the world, the all-star game of StarCraft 2. We've had the 8 best players from around the world against the 8 best players from Korea for the last 4 days, and we're down to 2.
That's right. It's all gonna come down to one more game. It's so even. They've been playing incredible early game, mid-game, late game. Stats, he did his best to try to hang on, but Serral was so surgical and so precise in how he took out each of those locations, how he forced Stats to spread. It was too much.
And this is what it all comes down to. Dreamcatcher, map number 7. Spread the word. Will Serral take down all the top Koreans and be the best player in the world?
20 years of domination from Korea in StarCraft could end here. We have never had a non-Korean in the 8 years of GSL. In a finals like this, Serral could upset the world. It's up to Stats to defend the honor of Korea on our final map, Dreamcatcher. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, here we go.
Ready? Fight.
In the upper left, in the red, our Protoss player defending the honor of Korean esports. He is
Splice. Stats.
And in the bottom right, from Finland, here to say that the world has finally caught up.
ENCE Esports. Serral.
Crowd has been out of control since day one. And they are going crazy right now, Tasteless, because this is the greatest thing that you could have, a Game 7. It's rare to hit Game 7. Normally someone just captures control and rolls right through, right? A 4-2 sometimes, a lot of times 4-1s, but these two so evenly matched.
A lot of pride on the line here. It's Korea. I mean, they dominated any esport they take interest in, but when it comes to StarCraft, that is quintessential Korea.
I mean, part of the culture.
It is, and it has been for 20 years. And it was at the point where it was almost a joke, the idea of any non-Korean ever really being able to hold their own. Again, we saw Serral take out Dark, top-tier Korean Zerg, take out Innovation, top-tier Korean Terran. If he beats Stats here, he's then beat the top-tier Korean Protoss.
Yes, and he took out Maru in the team match as well. Serral looking poised to possibly be the greatest of all time of non-Koreans. And I mean, I think the win here pretty much seals that deal.
That's right, but if Stats can take it here, he's once again proven that even the brightest minds in the world, such as Serral, still need to respect how much Koreans love StarCraft. So it's all going to come down to this game. We've had every kind of game you could ask for. We've had pressure games. We've had cannon rushes coming down here from Stats. We've had games where Serral is trying to drop, harass, hit everywhere. Eventually Stats holds it off, and then comes in with a counter push. We've had Serral pull off some of the most insane Hydra Baneling timing attacks. What in the hell is going to happen here in Game 7?
It is so hard to say, but the openings thus far looking pretty standard. Only one additional gas being taken. Okay, there's the second one. I was going to say, ooh, what is this? But so far, everything's pretty standard here from both sides. Pretty macro-oriented openings. The robo being made here in the natural. He will just barely get a scout off on that.
Always good to have that confirmation there. I do want to point out, Stats has kind of played a similar game in a lot of these, at least with the opening. A lot of this has been, how does Serral try to punch holes into Stats, and can he actually hold it off? So the Adepts are going to be out on the map, at least for the time being, trying to put some pressure on. The map Dreamcatcher is pretty interesting because you can expand in multiple directions, whether you're Zerg or the Protoss.
Yeah.
There's no necessary way that you have to try to fork out. There is a gold base on this map as well. We'll see if that becomes a factor.
A couple of them even. I mean, those can occasionally be taken. We see it from time to time, but they're pretty hard to defend. It's a really large map, and those are way out in the middle, in the top right and just below that. So I'd be pretty surprised if anyone could keep that for long. But if they do, a huge advantage will be gained.
That's right. So we continue to see Serral try to spread the creep out as the initial harass coming here from Stats. It's basically done. The Oracle is now used as a tool to try to keep this alive from Zerglings. And you have those two pylons there, of course, to wedge them between. The Adepts, or you normally see that, we see Adepts instead moving out now, as well as a War Prism.
Yeah, looks like he wants to get a bit of harassment done here. The War Prism is moving across, probably for an Archon drop. The two Adepts actually shading into the third base. Ooh, this could be nice. Let's see how many drones he can get.
Yeah, he's actually already gotten 3. And
Hey, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Good hold, but I don't think that Stats is done yet. I think he wants to try to hit in multiple locations and try to cripple Serral so that he can't get into a healthy late game. We see the 2 Adepts coming in here in the main. Now 2 can very easily one-shot a drone, and we see another attack happening over here. Serral is starting to lose too many workers too quickly.
Yeah, Stats is doing something new here. Adepts absolutely everywhere. 11 drone kills. 11 drone kills. That was only 6 Adepts that he used. Like, you normally don't see plays like this. If you go Adepts, you really go Adepts. You don't generally just see 6 of them used at various times. 2 of them dropped off in the main, but that really did some damage.
And it might start adding up. We now have the Warp Prism with 2 Archons inside to try to do this Archon harass. Now, Serral has immediately made a bunch of roaches. The Queens are being vigilant, trying to find out where that Warp Prism might be, and if he can possibly try to gun down that with those Queens.
Yeah, a bunch of roaches are out on the map. A second Robo is on the way, so lots of Immortals are going to be available coming up. But this roach attack, I don't think he has any idea that it's coming. There's not a lot of energy on that Oracle, and that Oracle can't fight it alone.
That's right. The roaches are just outside of that third base. There is 1 Immortal.
Ah, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty handy. Meanwhile, Stats is freely taking out this Creep Tumor. I would be a little bit suspicious if I was him, saying, are you not going to...
Yeah, are you
not
nowhere?
gonna try
Where
to
are
stop
you?
me?
The Queens are going.
He's doing a timing attack.
Oh, he is indeed.
I
This
think
is
he knows.
so powerful.
Okay, so the Queens are here to transfuse any other units. And he's coming up now. The Lynx get a good body block on the Immortal. The Immortal goes down.
Great micro here by Serral, pushing into this third base. The Oracle trying to do its best, but it won't get much done. The Roaches take down the shield battery, take down the Zealots, and now going after the probes.
You can see the Archons are going to have to be juggled perfectly here. The Roaches are rotating around. The Queens are coming down and regrouping. We have more Roaches heading up to meet up with this.
Okay, this gives Stats an important, precious few seconds to gather himself. He's warping in some more units. He's throwing up additional shield batteries. He has these Immortals in position, but that's a lot of Queens for transfusion.
Force field comes down here on these Queens. We see transfusion here. He doesn't have many more force fields left. The Roaches are coming up.
Oh my god, that's so many Roaches coming up. The force fields get thrown out. The Immortals starting to take damage. The shield batteries just aren't ready. Can Serral break through right now?
Serral's coming forward. You can see there's just not quite enough to defend. The batteries do not finish in time. 2 more Immortals coming over here on the right. Stats is going to have to try to juggle his heart out with these Warp Prisms and Immortals, but it still might be too much.
The Immortals on the left taking a lot of damage. He's spending so much time microing on the right, but if he can kill these Roaches, he could be in a good spot. Probes now starting to fall as well. The second Immortal gets picked off.
You can see the corrosive vials hitting those Zealots. He's still got these Immortals over here. The Nexus is very low. The Oracle trying to come in here to help out. Another Immortal goes down. GG! It is done! Serral is your GSL versus the World Champion!
A long road, a hard road, possibly the hardest road. This is your champion!
Unreal. He did it. He took out best player in every race. He is the best in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen. Our Finnish player, Serral,
He is
and not a Korean.
Finally proved it. And I mean, I don't know how you can even question at this point to destroy Innovation, destroy Dark, and then beat Stats. After going down 0-2, you bring it back 4-3. That is impressive.
Crazy. I don't even know, man. I mean, it was like the perfect finals, you know? We got all the way to the last game. It's pretty crazy that on our on our end we have a narrative that's like actually that good. I'm just blown away. I've been out in Korea for 10 years, casting Koreans dominating everything, and today is pretty different. We're gonna go to an interview now with our winner Serral and see how he's feeling now that he has made history.
GSL의 수많은 우승자들이 항상 전세의 넘버원이 됐을 때 과연 해외에서는 누가
슈퍼스타가 될 것인지 7년 동안 기다려왔습니다. 그 7년간의 주인공 세랄 선수 드디어 우승을 차지했습니다. 우승 소감 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다.
Congratulations on winning the tournament. How do you feel?
I feel insanely good. This is what I was coming for, and I'm insanely happy I managed to pull it off. And my path was very hard, but luckily I managed to do it.
일단 우승에 대해서 너무 기쁘고 이걸 위해 한국까지 왔기 때문에 목표를 이루게 돼서 상당히 기쁩니다. 비록 경기들이 중간중간에 많이 어려운 점들도 있었고 그랬지만 잘 극복하고 이기게 돼서 행복합니다.
GSL을 보면서 세랄 선수가 꿈을 키웠고 GSL을 보면서 목표가 생겼고 오늘 전 세계 최강이라고 평가를 받고 있는 한국 선수들을 전부 다 잡아내면서 우승을 차지했습니다. 이제 세랄 선수의 목표는 전 세계 최강의 됨이 세랄 선수의 목표일 텐데요. 앞으로 어떤 선수가 되겠습니까?
You may have watched the GSL throughout your career and then had the dream to come over here and win the whole thing, which now you did. What are your future goals as the StarCraft 2 player?
Like I used to say after my WCS victories, my goal was always to win more events, and even after this event, my goal is to win more, and I'm more focused on practicing because I get motivation for these wins, and I'm not gonna stop trying.
일단 WCS 3회 연속 우승을 하고 나서 이 대회를 참가하게 됐을 때 목표는 오직 우승이었고 그 다음에 이제 그 목표를 달성했기 때문에 자만하지 않고 더더욱 이걸 동기부여로 삼아서 열심히 해가지고 이후에 열리는 모든 대회들에서 최대한 많은 우승을 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
정말 이 7년간의 스타크래프트 2 역사를 새로 쓴 세랄 선수 지금까지 이렇게 오는 데 있어서 가장 큰 게 팬들의 사랑이었다고 생각되는데요. 지금 이 자리에서 전 세계에서 세랄 선수에게 응원을 해주신 팬분들에게 감사 인사 부탁드리겠습니다.
Throughout your career and you achieving this goal, this moment, there are a lot of fans who have been constantly supporting you and cheering for you. Any words to those fans?
Yeah, I really want to thank all of my fans. I think all of you have been a big help, and without you maybe I could have done it, but thanks for all the help and support, and I'm very glad that I have so how should I say, nice fans I guess.
일단 항상 응원해주신 팬들한테 감사의 마음을 표시하고 아마 그들이 없었으면 이 자리까지 못 왔으리라 생각합니다. 그렇기 때문에 더더욱 그 사람들이 특별하고 그 다음에 앞으로도 많은 격려와 응원 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 마지막으로 이제 대한민국 선수들이 자극을 받았어요. 앞으로 이제 리벤지 매치가 블리즈컨에서 펼쳐질 텐데요. 대한민국 선수들에게 이제 한번 여기서 한번 제대로 붙자고 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
So you managed to beat out all the top tier Korean players throughout this tournament. You're probably next facing them again in BlizzCon this year. Any words to the Korean players when you face them at BlizzCon?
I don't like to share bad words, so I'm just gonna say that let's see there, I guess.
그를 이렇게 기분 나쁜 말을 하고 싶지 않기 때문에 블리즈컨에서 만나자고 합니다.
네, 자 이제 새로운 역사의 주인공이 탄생했습니다. 바로 세랄 선수가 그 역사를 이뤄내면서 이제 앞으로 있을 블리즈컨이 더더욱 재밌어질 거라 생각합니다. 이제 저희는 여기서 인사를 드리는데요. GSL은 계속해서 이어지겠습니다. 이제 8월 8일 이 조지명식을 시작으로 16강에
Well, you heard it from the best player in the world himself, Serral. He's not done. His reign of domination is going to continue for as long as he can uphold it. What an what an insane tournament.
Dude, I'm going to take you down memory lane. I don't have much time, but he has killed one Korean of every race in this tournament, convincingly, with Stats being the hardest opponent. Well deserved. He cannot be denied. Cannot be denied by anyone.
Real quick closing words. We got to wrap it up here. We're almost out of time.
I loved every second of these grand final, Tasteless.
You were Tosus?
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Congrats to Serral. Wow.
Good night, guys. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations again, Serral.